2, 1. All right, we live. What's going on, everybody? Man, shots fired. How you doing, gang? Man, so good to see you, everybody. How you doing, chat? Man, today you'll discover how I render skin tones and really make the painting look real and finished. And I'll show you my full rendering process live in front of you, step by step, so you can really see how it works and you can really give your portrait like that real and finished look. Man, how you doing, everybody? Who's excited for today, guys? Drop some fire emojis in the chat. Let me see who's excited. How many action takers we got over here, guys? Where you at? Where you at? Guys, today we really finishing what we started. We really finishing what we started, guys. And we are on the 5th and final day of what I call the 5-day portrait challenge, where I'm sharing with you guys all of the secrets and insights of my self-taught art journey, and it's been amazing so far, guys. Like, I'm like, I said it in the chat, but I'm honestly like a little sad this thing is over. We really kind of, I mean, it's not over yet, but it, it really felt like we just kind of went through this journey together, and all the real ones, stay until the end. So I'm happy you guys here with me, and let's finish this thing, all right? And you guys, I want to remind you that you could watch all of the 5 days of this challenge on our website until the end of the weekend for free. So that's 5dayportrait.com. You can watch all the 5 days, all right? And then also our free giveaway that we're doing is going to be announced over the weekend. So check out your emails, and also check out my social media and Instagram, and I'm gonna be posting it on stories and all that stuff. All right, now to start out today, guys, let's start out by doing a little quiz. All right, let me see let me see who been paying attention. All right, can you guys remember the two techniques of the method that I've been showing you? All right, let me see the official names. All right, not the names that we made together. All right, let me see if you guys remember the official names. Let me see who been paying attention and who real serious about improving. All right, let me see it in the chat, everybody. Oh, man. And by the way, today gonna be a little bit longer too, because I have so much to kind of show you. All right, I got so much things to show you guys. X-ray sketching, color stacking. You guys are right. You guys are right. The first one is called. You guys really pay attention though. Damn, y'all some serious people up in here. So the first one is called X-ray sketching, which really shows you the hidden lines and invisible structure of the face, which really shows you how to improve your proportions, perspective, and anatomy. And the second technique is, you guys are right, color stacking, which shows you how to pick colors that look good together, where to place the lights and the shadows, and how to really achieve that finished final look, which improves your shading, color theory, and rendering. And these two techniques, guys, make up what I call the build-up method, all right, which is a complete approach to painting the portrait you imagine from start to finish, really bridging that gap between theory and connecting fundamentals with an actual drawing process. Super excited about this. And the second technique, guys, of color stacking has 3 different stages, right? We have the colors that we begin the painting with. We have the lights and the shadows, which is really the second stage. And today we're gonna take a look at that third stage, which really gives your painting that finished and final look, all right? And I wanna give a shout out to everybody in the Discord. Oh man, I forgot to open up the Discord. Okay, let me open it up right now. I've been checking all your guys' work. Y'all doing crazy though. Every time I go in, there's new messages, and shout out to all you guys. You're doing amazing. It's so fun to see you doing like other references as well, and really seeing like the method click for you. And all the people you kind of tagging me on Instagram and sending it on DMs. Super cool to see you guys. And yeah, I really love the way you kind of put like the color stack in there as well. It's so cool. And it makes me really happy to kind of see you guys applying it and kind of everything making sense. And ooh, somebody even did the color wheel challenge. Hey, that's so cool. That's so cool, guys. You're crushing it. Oh, I didn't even see that one before though. You guys are amazing. Keep going, guys. Today we're gonna really finish this portrait, and I'm really excited about that. And if you guys watched yesterday as well, you already saw the special offer that I made, to you, and a ton of you kind of took me on that offer, which makes me really happy, and I'm super excited about that. And I still haven't revealed one mystery bonus. I saw some of you asking about it, so I decided to actually like reveal it later today, and that would be exciting. But that's for later today. My main focus right now, guys, is to really help you to understand rendering. Okay, because I know rendering is always what most students kind of have like questions about, like what is rendering, how do you actually do it, how do you really make the painting look kind of real. Drop a yes in the chat, guys, if rendering is something that you kind of struggle with, and you kind of don't understand that well. All right, let me see if you guys are struggling with these stuff and with rendering. Okay. Gonna join soon. Nice, that's amazing, that's amazing. mm. Yes, 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 yes. Nice, nice. You guys have seen me struggle. I mean, it's not nice because you struggle, but it's nice because I feel like I can help you. But I've struggled with the same exact things. And you guys, I always show kind of like different students. So I want to show you one of my early students as well, Xenia, who really kind of struggle with all of those things as well. And I remember she showed me her work right here, and she said that she really wanted to kind of make it look more finished and detail, but she said that no matter how much kind of details she would kind of add and how much time she would spend, it would always look kind of unfinished, and she was really stuck, and didn't really know why she wasn't kind of like making the painting look that real. And like as soon as I kind of saw it, I realized what was kind of happening, and to show her like what was happening, I told her to imagine a piece of metal. Now, stick with me here, all right? This is a little analogy, but if you imagine like a piece of metal, no matter how much you kind of hit it with a hammer, it won't just turn into a polished sword, right? Because like how you actually turn a piece of metal is it has to go through all of these like multiple steps, right? Like you take the metal through like cutting up the metal, like you heat it up, like only then you kind of start heating it, and then there's all this cooling down and polishing it and so on. I don't know how you actually make a sword, okay? But this is just an analogy that I kind of gave to her. And the same way, even though it just kind of looks like, I'm just doing this one thing in the rendering, actually, if you kind of, like it just looks like one step to go from here to here, but there's actually like multiple steps that I take the painting through. So first, I'm actually like only softening the painting, right? So you see how some areas are becoming softer and some are remaining harder, right? And then I'm only adding like additional darkness and additional lightness to really build contrast in the painting. And then I'm adding like all of these subtle additional colors. Like they're super subtle, right? You guys seeing this? So only after that I really add all these like small details like eyelashes and smaller hairs into the eyebrows. So when you guys like look at this final kind of step, it feels like, it's just one thing. But as you've seen, actually there's really multiple steps that I kind of take the painting through in order to really achieve this final look, right? And as I was kind of showing her this, I remember like Sania pointed out, like I was doing all these things kind of separately, and it's kind of like I almost had like a checklist that I was going through in my head to really finish the painting. And that's when it kind of hit me, like I did have like a mental checklist that I was really going through, but it had kind of become so automatic to me that it's something that I didn't really think about. But for Xenia, she wasn't really aware of all those things, and it's kind of, she was really trying to do everything all at once, right? And it kind of, that's when it hit me, like it's no wonder that she was really stuck with her painting and was wondering why it just kind of wasn't looking finished, right? So I really wanted to show Xenia how to really render a painting and what are the steps that I'm really thinking about. But as I was kind of showing her like these different things, she had all these questions like, how do you make the skin look real? How do you, like, which areas are softer? Like where do you add contrast? So I had to really like figure out how to really explain like every decision that I was really making, and have it make sense to somebody who was just kind of getting started with rendering. And as I kind of kept testing what made sense to her and other students, I kind of slowly refined the method, and that's kind of how I came up with this rendering process. And it's really just working with students that I was able to kind of break down rendering into these four steps right here. All right. Now, when you look at these four steps, they might not look that different from each other, right? Like they're super subtle. So I want to take you through actually like each one of these steps live so you can see like all of these subtle things, because when we actually stack all of those, they actually make a pretty big difference. All right. Does that make sense to you guys? Let me know in the chat. All right. And I'm a little nervous, okay, because I've never like shown this kind of publicly before, and I've only been kind of teaching this to private students. All right. So be patient with me here as I kind of show you all this stuff, because I'm really hoping this is gonna make sense to you. All right. I've never shown this. I've never shown this before publicly like this. So let's see how it goes. All right. Yes. I'm really happy. I'm really happy this makes sense so far, guys. So let's kind of take a look at rendering, and I'm gonna be showing you these techniques that I'm personally using, and hopefully you can get something away from it, and you can kind of improve your own art as well. All right. So right here we have the reference as usual, where I'm gonna be kind of breaking down what I'm seeing. And then down here, I'm going to be showing you some of the techniques of rendering, and kind of really the tools that I'm kind of using, and kind of really the rendering technique and how it works. And then right here on the right, we're going to be kind of doing the painting. All right. Now, if we take a look at the painting that we've kind of been working on so far, it really has these like just really clear shapes, and everything has really clear boundaries, right? But if we kind of take a look at the reference, not all the like boundaries are actually that clear, right? Like for example, if you kind of look at the like the separation of the shadow in the cheek, it's actually not that obvious. And this is what artists actually call edges. And there's actually like these three basic type of edges. All right. So I want to show you these three basic types. So there's a softer edge, which let me zoom in for you guys. A softer edge where really the separation between the two shapes is not really that clear, right? Like you can't really exactly decide where it kind of starts and where it kind of ends. So that's the first basic type. The second type of an edge is a medium edge, which the transition is still soft, but you can kind of like see like where kind of the ending of that shape is gonna be. All right. And then the final third basic edge is just a hard edge, right? Where we could very clearly see the separation between the two shapes. So those are the three basic type of edges, and I'm gonna be using those in our painting and in the skin to really show you how they kind of really make the skin real. Does that make sense? So these are the three basic types, but of course, the question is, how do you actually create those edges? So let's take a look at that and how I really kind of make those edges. All right. Now, the way that I actually create those edges is by using this tool right here. There's a specific tool for that. And in Clip Studio Paint, that tool is called Blend. And it looks like these two little raindrops, all right? And in other drawing apps, they might be called something else, like softening or a smudge. And I'm also going to be using this very basic round brush that I call the smudge right here. You can see it, and it's in the brush pack that we give away for free on the website. So using the blend and this smudge brush, if we make that brush bigger and kind of go over this edge right here, as I'm kind of pressing harder, that edge is turning softer, right? So that's how I'm able to really create this softer edge. Now, if I wanted a more medium edge, I will just make the brush smaller and I'll press more lightly. So that creates like a more medium edge. And then if I wanted a harder edge, but I still wanted to kind of polish it a little bit, I would make the smudge brush like really small, and I would only go with the like actual side of the smudge. So that way I'm just kind of polishing it, but just kind of keeping it hard, right? So this is really the way that I'm able to create these three different type of edges. So now I want to show you how to actually like apply these edges in the skin, and we're going to be going around and kind of taking a look at where these edges are. All right, everything making sense? So let's get started with this cheek right here that we have. And you can kind of see how we've added this shadow shape, you know, following the arch that we talked about with the invisible lines. And in the reference, we could kind of see, you know, this shadow shape, but, you know, the boundary between the light and the shadow is not actually like clear, you know. So that's why I would actually make the smudge bigger, and pressing harder, I would actually create this softer edge. Okay, so that's how I would create this softer edge right here. Now, in order for this to kind of work, I've actually merged all the layers. So I recommend you guys, when you're doing the lighting puzzle, to save all of your files, so that way you could keep the layers. You guys are asking. Yes, so I merge all my layers and they're all on one thing, you know. I know this might be a little scary. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm afraid of kind of merging all the layers, but this is really why you want to just kind of save them. And to merge layers, you can just kind of select all of them, and then right click, and then you have merge layers, merge selected layers. All right, and in different apps might be something slightly different that's called. All right, so that's kind of how I'm able to really use the smudge. And I also like to keep like different you know, states, you know, just in case. Like, I'm always obsessive about my painting. I'm like, I don't want to lose anything. So make sure you're safe. So this is we've just done this first edge right here in the cheek. Now let's take a look at this top part right here of the top of the cheekbone. And if you look at the reference, you can kind of see this darker shape, but just below it, there's a lighter shape, right? Like there's this lightness right here. And there's not really any like super clear separation, but we can still see like these two shapes that are above them. So there's almost like a little bit of a separation, but it's not really that obvious. So this is why I would use this medium edge right here in the painting. So I would make the smudge a little bit smaller, and pressing more lightly, I would create more of this medium edge. All right. And then if we take a look right here above, just in the eye, let me make a new layer. If we take a look right here, we can see that there's a very clear separation, right? Like just below the eye in that shadow. So I would be using a hard edge for there. So in here, I can actually make my smudge really small and just kind of go over just like the edge of it, right? To kind of keep it more hard. Now, if I have made like an edge too soft, right, like with the harder edge, I can just always go back, select the color of the shape that I have, and just go over again over it on top to just make the edge harder. So sometimes if I just kind of over soften something, I can just kind of paint back the harder edge. So this is how I've been able to really create this softer edge, more medium edge, and a harder edge. Everything making sense, guys? So these are really like these three basic types. And now I really want to show you how I'm going to go around the painting and really apply these three different type of paintings. All right? So let's take a look at right here in the shadow that we've added just below the eye. And something interesting is actually happening right here just below the eye in that shadow. We can see this very clear light, and we can see this clear shadow. And in between them, there's like a clear separation. But on top right here, the separation is like a lot more clear. And as it kind of goes down, the separation is not really that obvious. So what's really happening is that there's like this separation, but it goes from a harder edge to more of a softer edge. So the edge actually transitions. So to actually do this in my painting, I would use a pretty small brush on top, and then I would make my smudge bigger at the bottom and create more of a medium edge, and then going into like a soft. So that's how I'm really able to create this sort of a transition and levels of edges, right? But it's still really following these three basic types, all right? So that's for this edge right here that we've taken a look at. So now let's go around kind of like the painting and looking at different type of edges and applying them. All right, so let's take a look right here below the eye. There's not really any clear separation, so I can just kind of soften this whole shape right here. And then if we take a look at this shadow, there's a pretty obvious separation, but then as it goes into the eye, it's not really that obvious. So this is why I would keep this edge a bit more hard, and then I'll keep it more medium as it goes into the eye. And then if we kind of go up in here into the eye and around the eyebrow, you can see there's not really any clear separation with the glabella. The whole glabella on top and the bottom is kind of really merging with the forehead. So these kind of whole areas right here, I can actually soften a lot more, right? So I would just kind of soften all these areas right here going into the glabella and the connection with the glabella. And then if you also look at the whole forehead, somebody said that's a whole lot of edging. That's really what it is. If you look at the whole forehead, you can see that there's not really any clear separations. So I can just soften the whole forehead right here, and I will just leave these harder edges right here in the shadows below the hair, because you can kind of see how hard these shadows are that are kind of just below the hair. And I can also kind of just kind of go with a real small smudge if I wanted to kind of refine them a little bit, but still keep them hard. All right. So let's go. Same thing is right here happening to the other eye that we saw in this one. Like there's this obvious shadow separations here and here, but in the middle and on top here, it's not really like as clear. So I would just kind of keep like using a smaller smudge. I'll keep more of a harder edge and then just soften those in the middle right here. So that's for the eyes. And then let's go into the nose and see kind of how that works. So in the nose, you can see that on the sides of the nose and the bridge of the nose, there's not really any clear separation. But as you look at the bottom of the nose, you can start seeing a little bit of a separation, right? But it's not really as clear. And then if you look at the wing right here, there's a very clear separation there, right? Between this light and a shadow. So this is why I would just soften this whole side of the nose and this whole bridge of the nose with a softer edge, and then I'll go with more of a medium edge right on the bottom and the side right here. And I would keep this edge more hard. But if you look at this edge right here, you can see how it's more hard in the middle, and then as it goes towards like the ending and the side, it actually becomes a little bit softer, right? And it's not that obvious. So this is why I would leave it more harder here, and as it kind of goes outside, it just becomes more medium. And just by doing this, you can kind of see how like that nose is looking more real and 3D right here. Does that make sense so far, guys? So let's keep going and kind of keep breaking down these edges. And I hope this is this is giving you some realizations about what I'm seeing. So if we look at the whole shadow below the nose, you can see kind of how it's very clear, right? And it's kind of having these really obvious edges. Yes, I'm really happy this making sense so far. So to keep this this harder edge, nice, you're a lifesaver. Oh man, you guys don't know how happy. You know, as I said, I'm a little nervous and insecure about showing you all this, so it really means a lot, like seeing you guys' support and everything is making sense. We really need that merch of the does that make sense though. So going into the shadow below the nose, I would use a smaller smudge to really keep a harder edge. And also you can kind of see how like that whole shadow shape is kind of like a little bit zigzaggy, and that's very normal for the lighting puzzle. But for now, in rendering, I can actually clean this up by, you can also do it on a new layer if you want, by selecting the color right here in the light, and then just cleaning up that whole shadow right here in order to make it more clean. And I can just kind of go around and clean up kind of like that whole shadow around it, and keeping like a harder edge. Now, if you look at the nose right here, you could see just below the wings, the separation is harder, right? But if you look at the middle is actually like not as obvious, right? Like it's a little bit softer. So that's why in the painting, I can just kind of soften this middle part a little bit right here with a medium edge, but I would leave these harder edges right here on each side. Don't be nervous. You're doing great. Thank you guys. I appreciate the support. I really do. So that's below the nose. Now let's go into kind of like the cheeks. And if you look at the cheek right here, like this whole shape, there's not really any clear separation. But if you look at right here, just between the mouth and the cheek, there's a little bit of that like slight separation, right? Like if you squint, you can kind of see it. But it's a little bit obvious right here. Like not really obvious, but there's a little bit right here. But then as it kind of goes down, it disappears. So this is why I would actually soften like this whole cheek up in here. And then going down, I would also soften this whole light shape, but I would leave a little bit of a medium edge just as that cheek connects into the nose. And this is really where the whole our mouth area is going to connect with the nose. And that's going to create a little bit of a medium edge. And I would actually do the same on the other side. I would completely soften this top part, soften the bottom, but leave a little bit of a medium edge as the chin, like as the mouth actually transitions into the nose. Okay, so that's the whole mouth area, and now let's go into the side of the cheek like this right here. And if you look at it, you don't really see any like clear separations. Kind of the only thing that's kind of really happening is right here. There's a little bit of this darkness, and that's actually our cheekbone. So because of the cheekbone, there's almost like a very subtle separation right here. So going into the back of the cheek, I would really soften everything and have it with a softer edge. Besides just this small part right here, I would keep a more medium edge because our cheekbone would be really showing up in there, and everything else would be kind of softer. So that's the cheek. And now let's go into the ear a little bit. And if you look at the ear, you can kind of see like these more clear separations, like here and here. So the ear is more clear. Besides maybe like right here on top, there's a little bit of softness and a little bit like right here. So going into the ear, I can just kind of soften this top part and right here. And I'll also clean up the ear. So right here, I can select this color and then just kind of like clean up like the edge a little bit because I could see it being a little messy. And that could also be part of the art style. But I would just kind of clean up this shadow a little bit right here and the whole kind of edge of the ear. And a little bit right here as it goes down. So that's for the ear. And then if we take a look at the whole kind of neck, the whole neck is kind of pretty soft, like there's not really any clear separations besides this obvious separation right here into kind of like the shoulder. So going into the neck, I could really like soften just this whole part right here with a pretty big smudge, and then the back of the neck. And then if I just go with one big smudge like this, you can kind of see how I messed up like the hair, right? So instead, I can just kind of go with one smudge, then stop, and then just go with another just below. So that way I can really kind of soften like all these different shapes. And then I would also soften like right here down this light shape going into you know, the shoulder. And I can also just kind of leave this edge right here like a little bit harder. And then if we look at the chin, we can kind of see this very clear separation right here with the chin. And then just below that, it's not really that clear. I forgot to zoom in. Not only do I have to talk and paint, but there's all this zooming in that I'm keeping in mind. I feel like my CPU of my brain is just going through the roof. But yeah, right here in the chin, there's that obvious separation. So I can actually like clean up a little bit more of that shadow right here. And then I can just kind of soften this whole bottom part of the chin. And you can kind of see how as I'm kind of softening and I'm going around the face, the skin is really starting to feel more real and actually look like real skin. And this is really how I would create these three basic edges and go around the skin and really apply it. So that's really the first step and how I'm really softening. So let me show you guys how with this softening I would actually add these darker shadows and the lighter lights to really create more of contrast. All right, you guys liking it? This looks insane. I'm really happy. Very cool. I'm really happy this is making sense so far. So let's take a look at the second step of adding more contrast. Let me drink some water. Nice, it's clicking. Thank you. Nice, really happy. So if we take a look kind of in the reference, we can start seeing like these really kind of darker shadows like that one below the nose. So this is kind of like the darkest shadows that I'm gonna be adding next. And so far in like our colors, we've been using the croissant method. We've been using this color stack, and I showed you yesterday how to really create this darkest shadow and this lightest highlight. So if you remember, let's pull up the color sliders. We really pick the darkest color we already, this darkest color, it always does this bug when I try to pull it. So if we pick the darkest color, we just kind of go darker, a bit more saturated, couple more points towards the red, and that really gives us this darkest of shadows. So this is the darkest color that I'm going to be using right now for this darkest shadows, where there's going to be the smallest amount of light actually reaching there. So let's see and take a look at how that works and where I'm going to be adding those darker shadows. Now a very, you guys like the croissant? The very common place where there's going to be a darker shadow is right here, just right next to this. Do I have the color? Okay. Oh, yes. Right here, right next to the ear. So you see, as I just kind of added this brush stroke right here, what's happening is we could, even though this is on a new layer, so I've just started a new layer right here on top, on top of the merged layers, even though it's on top of the painting, we can still see like this line that is actually underneath it. And this is because up until now, we've just been using in the lighting puzzle, we've just been using like this darker shadow right here. And we've been really like just painting with more opaque brushes. But now in the rendering, I'm gonna be using this round brush that we actually used in the sketching, and I'm not pressing, like when I press, we can actually see through the brush stroke. So it's not fully opaque, right? So right here, we can see it through that brush stroke. So in rendering, these are the kind of brush strokes that I'll actually be adding. Oh, I meant eye. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I meant eye. I didn't mean the ear. I swear I'm a little under stress. So that's why. So these are the brush strokes that I'm kind of using in rendering. And because this is on a new layer, I can actually keep my brushes here. Because this is on a new layer, I can actually grab the eraser and I can erase this whole, like just a round eraser. And I can erase this whole top part. So we can kind of come up with this triangular shape right here that it kind of goes into the eye. And this is a very common place where there's a lot of darkness. So as I kind of add like a brush stroke in rendering, I also then use the eraser in order to almost like what I call sculpt out the shape. So you see, I'm creating this transparent, like more transparent shape, and then using a harder eraser to actually like sculpt it and adjust the shape. Make sense? So this is the way that I would be adding these darker shadows. So let's take a look now under kind of the nose and what's happening there. So you can see the shadow under the nose is kind of really dark. And because this kind of whole shape is a lot more complex, I can use this tool right here that I find really useful. That's called the lasso tool, right? It literally looks like a lasso tool. I mean, it just looks like a regular lasso, and every drawing app should kind of have that. So using the lasso tool, what that does is it allows you to make a selection, and then when you paint, you just kind of stay within the selection. So it's a lot easier to stay within like the shapes that you want. Nice, really happy it makes sense, guys. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make a selection of the shape underneath the nose. And then using this darker color, I would add this darker shadow underneath the nose, right? And then I can also use the eraser, just like how I did in the eye, to clean up this shape and make sure that I'm following really the boundary of the shadow that I've created, all right? So this is kind of how I create this darker shadow. Now, if you check out the reference, can you guys see how it's the shadow underneath the nose, like just underneath the nose, is a little bit darker than the shadow like at the bottom, right? So as it kind of gets closer to the nose, the shadow is actually getting darker, right? And the way that I actually kind of make that in my painting and I recreate that effect is with this airbrush right here. So this is the most basic airbrush. It's also going to be in our brush pack. And what that airbrush does is it really allows you to erase with a softer edge. So it's not harder. And if we take a look at this shape that I've done below the nose, if I just go with the airbrush and I tap very gently, what that happens is you see the before and after. It's creating like this lightness, what I call fading away the bottom part. And this really creates the top part being darker, and then as it goes down, it's actually becoming lighter. And this is called a gradient. So this shape right here that we've been kind of looking at for the technique of rendering, we're starting with this, by not pressing that hard so we could see through the shape. Then we're using the harder brush to sculpt that shape. And now I'm using the airbrush to really fade away one side of the shape and create a gradient with the shape, right? So you see, this is really the way that I'm adding these darker shadows. This again is these techniques that I'm using to really be able to render. Thank you guys. I'm really happy that this is making sense, and yeah, thank you for the compliments too. So this is really the method that I'm kind of using. So let's take a look at how I will apply it to some other places so you can see some more examples. All right. Another place that I really add, I would kind of add this darker shadow is just below the neck right here. So what I'll do again is using the lasso, I can just kind of select this shape right here under the neck. And then using the round brush in this darker color, I will just add this darker shape below the neck. And now I can use like the eraser, the hard round eraser, to just like adjust the shape, make sure that this is the shape that I'm looking for. And then using the airbrush, I'm gonna really, wait, it's too big. I'm gonna really erase and fade away the bottom part of it. So that way I'm once again creating a gradient, and the shadow is darkest like as it kind of gets closer to the neck, and it's getting lighter and as it's kind of getting away from the neck, just like how we did with the nose. And over here you can actually see how there's this softer edge in the neck that we just did in the first step. So I can actually use the smudge in here as well. So using the smudge, I would just create this softer edge right here and then a bit of a medium edge. So you see what's happening, guys, is I'm really creating a harder edge and darkness here. And as it's getting further away, it's becoming more of a medium edge, and it's also getting lighter. So back to our little diagram right here, I have not only used like this shape right here where it's not fully opaque. I have then used a hard eraser. I've used a soft eraser with an airbrush to create a gradient, and now we're using the smudge to really create a softer edge. All right, so these are all the kind of techniques and all the this is really the way that I kind of add these darker shadows. And this is really the process and the tools that I use. So it's literally just repeating this right here over and over again for different shapes, so you could really create this illusion of realness. Okay, and I really wanted to kind of show you these things one at a time, like with each different shadow, so it really kind of clicks for you, and it's not just like right away as everything is kind of happening, because I feel like that could be kind of overwhelming. So I wanted to kind of show you like just like very slowly, like each one of these steps, because you see kind of how they really stack on top of each other, and that's why we call it color stacking as well. Nice. I really hope it is making sense. So if we actually take a look at this initial shape, if you remember that we did for the eye, we kind of created this shape and then we erased it to this more of this triangular shape, and now I can use the airbrush and I can erase like the bottom part of it in order to fade it away. I don't know why my airbrush is so big. So I can fade away the bottom part of it, so it's actually darker on top and it's lighter at the bottom. And then I can use the smudge to also make it softer as it kind of gets further away. And you see what that does, guys, is it really starts like this shape is starting to blend with the whole skin, just like how I showed you right here with this shape right here. So this is really the way that we're really blending shapes together. And I feel like as soon as that kind of clicked for me, and I was kind of able to kind of get this stuff and with these tools, I feel like it just kind of was like a real realization for me, because it really made sense that it's like adding shapes and then blending them in together. So that's really the process that I would use. And then if you kind of look at the shadow underneath the nose, right here, if you remember, it has harder edges right here below the wings, but there's a bit of a softer edge in between. So I can go back to this shape and then just use the smudge and create a softer edge. So you see kind of how many different things we have really done to this shadow, but it's not really that complex. It's just understanding what type of tools and pieces there are. So we have the shape, we have the gradient from below, we have the softer edge. And that's really the technique. All right, so now let's take a look. We've done underneath the neck, we've done it in here. Let's take a look at this other eye right here, where there's a bit more darkness on each side of the eye. So using a new layer right here and using this darker color, I can actually go in here and using the lasso tool again, to be more precise, I can just add this darker shadow right here, and I can also use the airbrush to make it a little bit lighter as it's kind of getting like going down. And then right here in the cheek, I would also like add this darkness and then use the airbrush to have a gradient coming from below. Now, if I zoom out and that just kind of shape looks a little too dark, you can just kind of go over it with the airbrush and just very gently tap, and that will just kind of make it lighter. So this is what I would do right here for the eye. And then going into the ear, you can also see that there's a bunch more darkness, and there's some like very kind of you know, like obvious shadows like right here that are kind of like darker, like this one and this one. I should probably done it with another color, like here and here into the ear. So I can add this darkness right here as well. So the way that I'll do it, same way, using the lasso and then just painting this darker shape inside. And then I can use the airbrush to create a gradient. So you see the top of the ear is kind of brighter, and as it kind of goes down, it's getting darker. And then in the inside of the ear right here, I would just create this darkness and then use the airbrush to fade it away as it kind of goes into the ear. So this is really the way that I would just be adding these shapes. And there's also some darkness like below the chin right here into the chin. So to add that, I can just kind of go in here and using the like using the lasso, I can just kind of create this darker shape right here. You can try it out a couple of times. And then use like the airbrush, so that way it's not like, you know, too dark. And then also use a smudge to kind of blend it with the surrounding shapes. And then you can even see the darkness in the bottom of the lip, right? But for the lips, if you remember, we have like a whole separate color stack right here, as I showed you before, how to really create that darker, more saturated, couple of points in the hue, and you get like this darker color for the lips. So in the lips, I would do the same thing. I would create, like using the lasso, I would select this shape, and then I would add this darkness right here. Okay, I'm trying to stay within these boundaries that I have. And then because I'm going outside, I can just use a harder eraser, adjust the shape as we do always. And then I'm using an airbrush to create a gradient, right? And now watch this. I love seeing this always. Look at the before and after of this thing right here, and you can kind of see how as it's getting further away down from the lip, it's kind of getting lighter. And then I can also use the smudge right here to soften as the lip is kind of going into the face right here, you know? So that really makes the lip kind of go within the face but softer. And if you feel like the shadow is a little dark, you can always kind of just brighten it up a little bit with the eraser. Now there's also a little bit of this darkness in the middle of the top lip right here. And we could see this lightness in the bottom right here because of the additional light, and we can see a little bit of brightness on the top because of the main light. So it's really in between this kind of darkness. And to really add it, I can just use the same thing as I did before. I can just kind of select it. But if you kind of look at the reference, this darkness is not really as dark as the bottom lip. So I can just pick like one of the not as dark colors from the lip and really just add this darkness right here in the middle, and then use an actual smudge to soften like each side of it, so it really feels like it's not, you know, just too obvious. And then use an airbrush to really kind of blend it with the top of the lip, so that really kind of creates this very subtle shadow within the lip. And you can also just clean up like the lip if it's a little messy. Just kind of go around and clean up like each side by selecting the colors on the side that you want to kind of clean up that shape. And that's just kind of what I would do for the lip. So these are, guys, the darker shadows that I would add, and you can kind of see how it really creates this sort of depth in the face. I'm really happy you guys are saying thank you, makes sense. Nice, I'm really happy. So let me show you now how I'd use the same technique for adding the brighter brights, all right? So if you kind of take a look at the reference, you could really see like there's this like really bright lights right here, right? Like just underneath the eye. Nice, guys. I'm super happy this is making sense. It immediately helped me so much. Super happy, super happy. This is pre-recorded, right? No, my hands are right here. My tablet is right here. We're doing this. We're doing this right now. We're doing this right now. So this right here is the lighter lights, like the brightest ones right here that I'm gonna be kind of painting next, right? And we already kind of showed you yesterday how to really create this sort of brightest color for the highlights. So I kind of select the previous brightest color. I go you know, brighter, but then if it's already like at 100%, I just kind of use the desaturation a couple of points away from the red, and that gives me like a lighter variation really for the highlights that I'm gonna be using. So using this highlight color right here, and I like to start new layers because that way it allows me to have more control over these shapes. And then once I'm kind of happy with it, I can kind of merge it down, you know? So I'm kind of merging the layers, but creating new ones in order to kind of have more control. So once again, using the lasso tool right here, I'll be adding this shape right here in the top of the cheek, right? Like this highlight shape. Now, of course, that looks a little too obvious. So once again, we could really use the airbrush and kind of erase and fade away this bottom part of the highlight, right? And that immediately makes it like connect and blend with the shapes that are below. Because if you kind of look at the reference, you can see how the top part of the highlight is really brightest, and as it kind of goes down, it's kind of turning darker. So that's why I'm kind of fading it down in the bottom. So it's really like the same process that I used for the darkest shadows. And I would even do the same thing on the other side right here. I would kind of select this shape right here, and then I would add this shape, and then use the the airbrush to really fade away kind of like the bottom side and blend it with the rest of the skin. That's the process of adding these highlights and brightest lights in the face. Now another place where there's these like really kind of obvious lights is right here into, let me see, right, hold up, too much things, in like just above the lip right here as it kind of goes, the mouth turns into the lips. So this area right here, I kind of cleaned it up because it was like a little messy. I would just use, somebody said in the chat, really like messy. Yeah, it's really like messy. And then I would just add these triangular shapes right here. And then, once again, using the airbrush to kind of create a gradient and blend them with the rest of the skin. So now, if you see what's happening, is just right here on the edge, as the lip kind of turns away, there's this like brightest highlight that I've really added. And that's what I'll also do here. Now, let's take a look at next at these really obvious kind of highlights in the nose, that a lot of people like adding, me too. How I would really add those is I like to actually like use a bit more of this like round oval shape at the bottom, and then a little bit of this like longer shape right here on top. And then for highlights, this like cool trick that I like using is I would slightly soften one side of the highlight, because that makes the highlight feel more natural and it kind of blends. But I would keep one side harder and I would keep the other side slightly softer, just the way that we've kind of broken down with this diagram. So just one side a little bit softer. So that's what I would do for the nose. Now, let's paint next the highlights in the eyes. One of the funnest kind of parts in the whole painting that I love doing. And for that, I would use an even kind of brighter highlight. So I would just kind of desaturate this color even more. And then I would add this like really small kind of like tiny highlights in the eyes, right? Oh, who doesn't like adding those? And I would also, same thing as the nose, I would slightly soften one side of them so they actually look more natural and they just don't stand out like too much and look unnatural. And I like adding those even if I don't see them in the reference, because it just kind of makes the eyes stand out. So these are kind of like these really small highlights. So guys, this is really the process that I'm using for adding contrast in the painting and adding the darkest shadows and the brightest lights. All right, so this is kind of what I'll do. And I wanted to also show you how I'll do this as well for the hair, and how I would really add this. Like if you look at the reference, there's this really like small and kind of small and obvious kind of highlights that are just kind of around the hair, like right here, right? So these are the ones that I'm going to be adding. And if you remember, we have the color stack from the hair, same way as always, just picking the brightest color, going brighter, less saturated, away from the red, to really create like this lightest color for the highlights of the hair. Now for the highlights of the hair, what I'd like to do is, let's zoom in to show you, is I like adding these like smaller shapes, right? So I'm going real small with the shapes now. So remember, from the build-up method, we're going from bigger shape to smaller shapes. And I really like also varying the shapes and creating like from big to medium to even smaller shapes to really have variation in the shapes, right? So if you kind of look at these highlights right here. And then what I also like to do is I like using an eraser at the bottom part of this shape right here to create this sort of a reversed U, right? Like if you see right here, it kind of looks like a reversed U, right? And using that, I can kind of like cut out into these shapes right here. And then I like extending like the sides of these shapes, right? So you see, as I'm kind of extending like the corners of this shape, it really kind of starts looking like just small hairs and highlights that are going within the hair, right? And as I said, I love leaving like these little gaps of hair. So it really feels like there's these little shadows, and it makes the hair look a lot more natural. So you can kind of see how these highlights in the hair really push like the feeling of hair, right? And then I'll do the same right here in this top chunk right here. I will just add this two kind of shapes, you know, making sure that they're slightly different, leaving a smaller gap. Then with the eraser, I will kind of cut out, you know, the each side. So there's like a little bit of a U thing happening right here. And then I would slightly like extend like each kind of part to create this like smaller hairs. All right. Now there's like a lot of things that I can kind of show you about hair, guys, but we could go so deep. But I feel like maybe that we need like a, you know what, we need like a separate whole challenge for just hair. We should do the 5 day hair challenge. Who'd like that, guys? Oh, who'd like that? That would be like so cool. So over here, I can kind of add these smaller highlights right here, like just leaving like these little gaps, creating these like little U's, and then going smaller. And you can see that it's really creating like the illusion of hair. Yes, yes, yes. Nice. Yeah, I'd love to kind of go deeper into hair and clothes and everything else. Oh, you guys going crazy in the chat. Yeah, we might do it in the future for sure. I'm really happy this is making sense, guys. So this is kind of how I'll be using this technique, how I use these techniques of really adding the darker shadows and the highlights. So I want to show you also, there's more things that I show you guys. All right, so next I want to show you how on top of this contrast, I would really be adding like the additional colors, all right? What I call additional colors. So let's take a look at how those work and what those are, and you know, kind of show more things. So if we look at right here in our painting, you remember how we added this additional light right here in the back, right? And we kind of added this bluish color, and if you remember, it kind of, because we lowered opacity, it started mixing with the shadow below. So this is where this gray color is coming from. You remember that, guys? That's one of the secrets of color stacking. And this is where this gray is coming from in the reference, right? But if we take a look at the reference, it's not only here in the back, right? Like at the back of the cheek, right? Like the whole cheek actually is kind of like having this grayish effect, right? And how I add that is I actually create a new layer, okay? And then I use the airbrush. So the same brush that we've been using up until now to create a gradient, right? Like this brush to create a gradient. Now I would use the same brush, but I would actually use it as a brush to really like this softer airbrush. And again, it's in the pack that you guys get for free. And to really add this additional color right here in the whole cheek, what I'll do is I can select this whole cheek right here, okay? And then grab and pick the actual color on top of the painting. And then very gently, I will just go on top and add this very subtle like color, right? Now, you see, guys, what's happening. This is before and after. It's super subtle, right? You see this? Like, it's super subtle, but it's making all the colors come together within the cheek, right? So that's really how I'm kind of adding these subtle additional colors. And it's so crazy because when you look at the final, you wouldn't really like see this, like all these things that are stacked on top of each other. So my goal, guys, is to really show you like all these things that are like stacking on top of each other. So when you kind of look at a painting, you can kind of start seeing like, oh, this is the gradient, this is the softer edge, this is the harder edge, this is the additional color, right? Like all these concepts like when you start seeing them, it's kind of like the invisible lines that I told you about, guys. Like you start like seeing all these things that you haven't seen before. So this is how I'll add this subtle additional color. And if you actually, like, I showed you yesterday, if you kind of look into the reference, there's a lot of places where there's this subtle additional light, right? Like you can see it right here in the top of the cheekbone and in all of the shadows. Like it's super subtle, but there's this grayish sort of like color right here. Like you can see it kind of below the nose, right? So this is how I would add those in the painting. So using this airbrush and using this grayish color on top of the painting, I'll just press very lightly and just add it right here on top of the cheekbone, right? And then the lasso tool is once again super useful because you could go right here in this shape of the shadow right here, select it, and then just very gently press with this airbrush so you could really stay inside the shadows and add this additional color. And if you kind of want to erase, you could always just kind of erase some parts that you don't need. So you see kind of how we've really added this sort of depth in the shadow below the nose, right? So I'll add that in all these shadows super subtly, like right here, right next to the eye, super subtle. And if there's like any obvious edges, I can kind of fade it away. And if it's too much, I could kind of smudge it. And if it's too much, I can also like airbrush it and fade it away. Add it a little bit as well, like just below the eye right here. And again, kind of smudge it. And even add it like right here in the kind of shadow that is right next to the eye, and even add it a little bit right here. And we can also, I'll also add it like very subtly just below the mouth, because you could kind of see how there's this very like subtle additional light that's kind of coming below the mouth and right next to the lip right here. So very gently just kind of pressing over and showing this light right here below. When guys say witchcraft, oh, I'm super happy it's making sense to you. So this is really this additional subtle color that I would add. And you can also see it in the neck, like the whole neck kind of has this bluish grayish light. So I can just kind of go into the neck using the lasso tool, right? Like just selecting that whole shape and then selecting this color and very gently tapping in, and you can see kind of like what's starting to happen is the whole neck is kind of appearing as if there's like this light that's kind of like hitting it, right? But you see kind of how many things I kind of like, it's super subtle, right, guys? But these are the things that really kind of push your painting to the next level and make it look real. And you see kind of how many things I have kind of stacked on top of each other in order to kind of make this happen, So this is why I find like the color stacking important and useful, because it really allows you to kind of like stack the things and make them look good without you actually like making them muddy, because I feel like if you just kind of straight up go into this and don't understand like the way to stack them, it's just gonna look really muddy, right? This is the reason why my art was just looking so muddy and just kind of felt flat, because I wasn't understanding any of those things. So this is really how, this is kind of like the first additional color that I would add. Now let me show you the second additional color that I would add, all right? So the second additional color that I add is between the light and the shadow. So it's really right here between the light and the shadow. And what I would add is I would select the color in between the light and the shadow, and I would make it more red right here. Okay, and I'll also make it so we can kind of get this like reddish color, and I would also make it more saturated, and I would make it more brighter. So that way I'm really able to get this vibrant red. This is how I get this vibrant red. And now using an airbrush, once again in a new layer, I'm really pressing super lightly and creating this like super subtle mid-tones, right? So these kind of super subtle red mid-tones. To be able to kind of add all of them right here. I would even add them on the side of the nose, right? Now, if those look a little too obvious, because for me, it's very easy to overdo them, you can actually drop the opacity of the whole layer. So that way, they just become more subtle, right? And as you're kind of adding those, and if we kind of color pick the painting, you can start seeing like all of this infinite amount of colors, right? So you can kind of see like the color wheel is just kind of going crazy with our painting because of the colors that we've actually stacked on top of each other. So when you look at all these colors right here, it just feels like kind of impossible to recreate. Like it's just like, oh, it's just so many colors. But you see, it's not really that many colors, right? Like it's just really the color stack and the additional color that we added, and then this mid-tone right here. And then there's one more additional color that I would add. All right, let me show you what that is. So if you kind of take a look at the reference, you can see kind of how this part is like a slightly different color than this right here. So this part in the back is like more kind of grayish, while this part right here is looking a little bit orangish. You seeing that? So why is this part in the shadow looking like more orangish, right? Uh, this is really because the main light that's kind of coming from the top, it's really intense and it's creating all these lights and shadows. It's so intense that it would actually hit the shoulder right here, and the shoulder is going to reflect back the light, right? So the reason why this piece right here in the jaw is orange is because of reflected light that's coming from the shoulder. Does that make sense? So this is where it's like super subtle, right? And the reason and how I would really kind of pick this color is I wouldn't just kind of pick any random orange, but this is kind of how I do it. I pick the color of the cheek right here that I already have, and then I go more saturated and I go more brighter, right? And then this really right here is how I'm able to kind of get this more orangish color. And I'll probably go even, oh, that's just the layer below. So that's how I'm able to kind of get this orange color. I probably go even more. So it's really like this more vibrant version of the color below. And to paint it, I would just use the lasso tool right here, select this whole area, and then use an airbrush, and then just add this like super subtle orange below, right? So you see like how subtle it is, but it really kind of pushes this kind of reflected light. And another place that I like adding that is in the bottom plane of the nose right here. So I can actually use the lasso tool right here to select like this whole bottom area, and then add this like subtle orange light right here, and then just soften it. And the reason for that is the same as the shoulder. What's really happening is the main light is kind of coming from the top, and it's so intense that it's actually hitting the skin, and then that skin right here is reflecting back from the mouth into the nose. Does that make sense, guys? So you see, it's really, these are the additional colors that I'm adding. I've added this blue right here below the nose. I've added the orange thanks to this like reflected light right here, and I've added this red with the mid-tone in the shoulder, right? So these are the additional colors that really kind of make the painting even come alive even more. And again, all of this is super subtle, and it's really stacking on top of each other. Yes, yes, yes. Nice. Really happy this is making sense so far. Super happy. And there's just one more final thing that I would add as an additional color, and that's really the color in the irises. So I find this stage pretty cool to kind of add them. So up until now, I've been kind of adding these, brown colors to really kind of stack them and make them look more like they're color matching, but there's, some blues in the eyes that are happening. So to pick those colors, I can actually select this brown of the iris and then just literally just move only this slider and go into the blues. And then I can just press lighter and get this bluish color in the iris, right? And if you feel like it's too much, you can also just use like an airbrush to fade it away. And then I also like using like a brighter version of this bluish color and add a little bit like of this light at the bottom part of the iris right here to kind of really push the iris more. And There's also one additional thing that I would do for the eyes, and I like adding this like second highlight. So we have this like really obvious highlight right here, the small one, but if you look at the reference, there's this like really subtle highlight right here that's kind of on the bottom. And for this second highlight, I actually like most times picking a color that already exists, so it's not like just super completely different. So I can pick the color from the background, and then using this kind of hard brush, I can just select like this area right here with the lasso and create this sort of a rectangular shape, and then do the same in the other side. You can use also a round eraser if you want to kind of clean up that shape. And then check this out. I would use the airbrush to really create an like this gradient within like the bottom. So same thing as we did before. And then I would also use the airbrush at the bottom part of it, so that way that highlight looks much more natural, right? And if it's too bright, you can also fade it away a little bit with the airbrush. So this is kind of how I'm able to kind of add this sort of a second highlight that I really feel like it kind of adds depth into the eyes. So this is really like all the additional colors that I kind of add. And again, these are really subtle, but I feel like are super key. So now let me show you the fourth final step of just kind of adding these smaller really details and the small hairs. Okay, so now let me show you how I would add the individual eyelashes, and I like doing those last. I know people are kind of like, ooh, how do you do how do you do the eyelashes, right? So the way that I would do the eyelashes, up until now we've just been kind of adding this one grouped eyelash, is I just select the color that I have for the eyelash, and I just kind of start adding these smaller triangular shapes, okay? And then one thing that I'm thinking about is that they would actually get smaller, and they will get less as they're getting closer to the actual tear duct. So on this side, they would be bigger and they will be kind of more obvious. And as they get further away, they will be kind of thinner and smaller. And I will do the same on the bottom right here, just these curvier shapes like this, and they would get less and less as they get kind of closer to the tear duct. And another important thing that I think about when doing eyelashes is that I'm trying to vary the shape and the size. So I don't just repeat the same shape. Like sometimes I'm adding a little bit less space, and sometimes I'm adding more space in order to kind of make them look more interesting. And another thing that I'm thinking about, you can kind of notice it right now. Let me just add all of them. Is that I'm thinking about their curvature. So they're curving, but check this out. On this side, they're curving like this, and as they kind of get closer to the middle, they start curving the opposite way, right? So this I find really useful, because if you just kind of add them all in the same kind of curvature, it could look a little unnatural and kind of boring. And then I would add the same thing at the bottom. So they're kind of getting less and less, and they're kind of curving around in the eye. So this is kind of how I'm able to add these individual eyelashes. And now let me show you like the technique that I use for eyebrows, okay? So for the eyebrows, what I like to do is I like to get this airbrush and then select the color of the skin and actually add a little bit of this airbrush gradient within the eyebrows, like the corner of the eyebrows right here. Now the reason why I do this is because I want to imitate skin. And then what I do on top of that is, on top of a new layer, I would pick like a slightly darker color from the eyebrows, and I would start adding these individual kind of brush strokes right here into the eyebrow. And those are really kind of starting to sell the idea of like real eyebrows and kind of individual kind of eyebrows. And I find this technique like really helpful, because it really starting to show that there's actually skin underneath, like as the eyebrow kind of gets closer to your forehead, it actually like we're starting to see some skin underneath. And I also like adding like some individual kind of brush strokes, and I find this like really useful to kind of make the eyebrows more natural, so you can kind of see the before and after of these eyebrows. Does that make sense, guys? So it's really kind of pushing the natural feel of eyebrows. So I like to create the shape first with like more of an obvious shape, figure that out, and then when I'm rendering the eyebrows, I'm really pushing that for that effect right here. Nice. There's some mind blown emojis. I like it. I like it. And then finally, I want to show you guys how I would add these smaller hairs that are in the hair right here. You can kind of see like all of these like smaller hairs. Somebody says how many layers now? Uh, I actually keep merging them. Like if I was just working by myself, I'll keep merging them. But I kind of have about like 10 right now of all these things that I've been kind of adding. So finally, I really want to show you like these smaller hairs. So I would really select this color of the hair right here, and I would just kind of add like these small hairs that are kind of like really going out and showing in the silhouette of the hair. And there will be like some here in the back, and this really kind of pushes to, again, just the way that we did in the eyebrows. It's really pushing to kind of help sell that hair and show the individual kind of hairs in the hair, right? So this is kind of the way that I would add all these like smaller details. And with this, guys, we really have the 4 steps of the rendering process. And I've shown you, as I've shown you guys, those are like super subtle, right? So if you kind of see them like this right next to each other, we have the softening, the contrast, the additional colors, and we have the smaller details. And they really look like they look super like subtle when you kind of see them right next to each other. And as I've been adding them, they be looking really subtle. But if we look at the before and after of kind of like the whole thing, you can kind of you see kind of how it makes the whole lighting puzzle like really come to life, right? So this is the change from all of the things that we did on top of each other. Does that make sense, guys? So this is really the way that I really render and I push the painting to look more natural and real. Man, I'm super happy to kind of break this down. This is the first time again we make this like public, and I'm super happy to kind of share this information with you. Like this right here just took a lot of time for me to figure out, and I'm super happy to kind of give this to you guys. Yes, yes, yes. I'm super happy, guys. I'm super happy. And I also want to say this, guys, like there's many different ways to kind of do rendering and colors, and there's many different styles, you know? So there's no right and wrong in art. I really just want to share with you like these fundamental techniques that have helped me and my students, and then it's really up to you like how you really want to use them. Like maybe you prefer more obvious shapes, maybe you really prefer like softer shapes. It's really up to you guys. I just really wanted to be able to share all these fundamental techniques, and over these 5 days, guys, you've like discovered all of the exact techniques that I've really used in my art, and you've discovered how I improve my art as self-taught artist. You saw how to really improve your sketches using x-ray sketching. You saw how to really pick colors that look good together using color matching. You saw how I add lights and shadows using the lighting puzzle, and you also saw my rendering technique. And guys, these are like all of the exact techniques that I've been using, not only my journey, but my students have really used in their own art journey, right? And does that does that sound cool, guys? Like this right here is like 15 years of learning and 5 years of teaching all put together, guys, right? And I'm super happy to have been able to kind of share all of this with you guys, and it's been super exciting. And I also want to share with you like something inspiring. Let's do the sharing time though. Let's go into sharing time. I love I love sharing and showing you more things. I got more things to show you guys. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate the love, guys. I love you. Let me show you some more inspiring stuff. Let's go into the sharing time. All right. And you guys kind of remember my student Xenia right here that I kind of mentioned earlier. Like I really want to show you her progress. You want to see her progress, guys? Like before the build-up method, she really wanted to just kind of make her look professional, her work look professional, and no matter how many kind of details she was adding, it really just kind of felt like it looked unfinished, you know? And thanks to the build-up method and all these techniques, guys, that I've been showing you, she was really able to achieve this insane progress right here, guys. Like, how crazy is that? How crazy is that, you know? And she was able to do this, not only like be able to achieve this, but she did it in less than a year. Like, how crazy is this, right? And guys, during this challenge, I've been sharing like a bunch of different students, right, who've all achieved this insane progress and have all done it in less than a year. But I've only been showing you like their before and after paintings, right? I've really just kind of shown you what these students kind of like how they look before and after, but I really haven't shown you like what they did throughout this 1 year to actually go from this to this, right? So besides just showing you the before and after of Ksenia, I want to show you what she actually did during this 1 year to achieve this crazy progress right here. Would you guys like to hear that? All right, you want to see like what Ksenia actually did? All right. You guys are loving it. I'm super happy. I'm super happy. Nice, nice. All right. Uh, mind blowing emojis. That's really it. That's really it. Yes, 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 yes. Nice, nice. Let me show you guys. Let me show you the exact kind of journey of Ksenia and what she did during this 1 year, so you can really see exactly how she was able to achieve. Yes, yes, yes. Super happy. So when Ksenia first became my student, I really had her focus on just drawing the head from different angles using X-ray sketching so you could really understand how to draw the head from any angle, right? Without being overwhelmed by too many of the features and really understand drawing the head from different angles. And then she really started practicing only the features, and she was drawing noses, lips, ears, all in different angles, so all of her sketches like improved like crazy. And then next we really focused on shading, but not to overwhelm her. I really showed her how to really practice just adding these basic lights and shadow shapes in different lighting scenarios so she could really master the lighting puzzle without being overwhelmed by color. And then she really practiced only rendering. Guys are saying, write this down for real. She only practiced only rendering, and her work would look even more like real and finished as she kind of did that, you know? And by this point, she really just started being able to understand lights and shadows and master them. So this is kind of how her work was looking. And at that point, she was ready for me to start showing her how to really practice in different color scenarios and start really understanding how to mix different type of colors. So this is the work she was doing. And then she also practiced different hairstyles, and her work started looking like this. Like crazy, guys, crazy. But we didn't even stop there. We didn't stop there. Next, we dived into drawing characters with different facial expressions, started doing stylization and really exploring different art styles. So she was really able to kind of draw the artworks that she was imagining all through the build-up method. And I'm super proud of Ksenia and her journey right here, guys. Shout out to Ksenia. We've also, besides, you know, just a student, she's become my friend. And I really, you know, appreciate her. So shout out to her. And you guys have really seen how, you know, Ksenia didn't get better overnight, you know, like she didn't just do like a drawing, right? And she gradually improved as she really kind of practiced each step of the method. And I really showed her exactly what to practice, so she could really understand and master one technique at a time without really being overwhelmed. So you've seen really like the journey of Ksenia and what she kind of really had to go through to get there. And you know what? This is like the exact journey that I take every student that I've had in order to really help them achieve their art progress. And this really journey has worked like from artists for all different type of backgrounds and all different type of experiences, right? Like you've seen them all. And guys, I'm so confident that I can take you through this exact journey right here. Like imagine like guys, imagine the next time I actually do this challenge, it's you and your art right here, and I'm telling your story. Like how cool would that be? Like that would be super cool, right? And this is why, guys, I'm so like I really know this could happen for you as well. And this is why I'm really like excited about this special opportunity that I shared with you yesterday, guys, the Portrait Mastery Program, because this program really follows the same journey that has really been proven to work by so many different artists. So my question, guys, for you is, would you like to go on this journey with me? Like, drop a yes in the chat right now, and let me see how many of you guys are really like excited about joining this opportunity and are actually like serious about improving at art. Like, let me see how many of you guys are actually serious about improvement and really mastering the build-up method, right? Let me see, guys. Nice, nice. I love the purple hearts too. Yes, 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 yes. Nice. I'm super excited, man. I've said it many times, but I'm so excited about this, And yesterday, guys, I really talked about this mystery bonus that's inside the Portrait Mastery program. And I saw you guys asking about it, so I decided that, instead of just keeping it a mystery, I decided to just reveal it. So today, let me show you like absolutely everything that you're gonna get inside the Portrait Mastery program, including the mystery bonus, all right? So the first thing that you're gonna get inside the program is the Portrait Masterclass. And this masterclass is made up of 8 different modules that include all of the information to draw pro level portraits and really create the art that you truly imagine. So let me go ahead and break down each one of these modules so you can really see what's actually inside. All right. So the first module, we're gonna go deeper into X-ray sketching, and we're really gonna be drawing the head in different angles and exploring different art styles so you can really understand the construction and the perspective of the head, all using X-ray sketching. And in module 2, we're gonna go deeper into the anatomy of the features, right? Everything from drawing eyes to drawing noses to drawing lips, all in different angles and styles so you can really master the anatomy of the head. So by module 3, you really have everything that you need to draw the portrait. So we'll start really exploring shading, whether the light is coming from the top, the side, bottom. You really know how to really create interesting lights and shadows to give depth to your character. Does that sound good, guys? So in module 4, we're gonna go into these more advanced rendering techniques, right? So you saw them today, and I'm gonna show you how to really apply them to the face and different type of features. So literally every part of the face that you paint really stands out of the screen and it really comes to life, right? And in module 5, you really be ready to apply colors to more interesting lighting scenarios. And I really show you how to really start exploring different color scenarios and really create and mix lively and vibrant colors. Does that sound good? And in module 6, you learn everything about drawing and painting hair. Like, no matter if it's wavy hair, it's braids, straight hair, or any other type of hairstyle, I really teach you how to make it three-dimensional and real. And then in module 7, you learn about drawing facial expressions. And I'll teach you how to really capture emotion in your character. Everything from sadness to anger, so your characters could really be expressive. Does that sound good, guys? Man, let me know if this sounds good though. And by this point, you really, like, by going to the first 7 modules, guys, you really have everything that you need to draw and paint pro level portraits. And in module 8, we'll start exploring and diving deeper into stylization, which is something I'm super excited about. And we'll start exploring different art styles so you could really choose the art style that you want to have in your own art, right? Does that sound good? So you see, like, the Portrait Mastery program and this Portrait Masterclass is really everything that you need to master the build-up method, draw pro-level portraits. How crazy is that, And guys, like, trying to figure all of this out on your own, it might take multiple years, like how it took me, And by joining this program, you get it all in a matter of months. So you literally save yourself like years of pain and frustration, just like how my students did. And you've seen all the students that I've kind of been showing you guys have all went to this right here. This, all the information inside the program. And I know you might be thinking, like, yeah, this has worked for others, right? But will it work for me though, right? Like, will I be able to actually, like, understand this information? And if I go through it, will I actually improve? And will it actually, like, apply to my art style? And I want to let you know, guys, that these are very normal things to think. I feel like every single student that I've had has kind of thought about these things and asked me those same questions. So this is why I'm actually including all of these special bonuses to really ensure that anybody will be able to really make it through this program and achieve like the improvement that they're looking for. Okay, so let me remind you of these special bonuses that you're gonna get inside the Portrait Mastery program. All right, so you guys saw the journey of my student Xenia, and you saw how many different things she kind of had to practice in order to improve at drawing and art, right? And as I've been talking about it before, guys, it's not enough to just watch. Like, you have to actually draw, right? But so often, like, tutorials don't really show us like what exactly we need to practice. So artists so often gonna get caught in this trap of what I call just watching, like where you just watch a video, you really feel like you understood a lot, but then when you try to, and you're inspired, but when you just try to draw on your own, it feels like you haven't really been able to improve. So you just watch more videos, and you just kind of get stuck in this like non-endless cycle of non-improvement. Does that sound familiar, guys? So this is why inside a Portrait Mastery program, you get the ultimate practice sheets, which really show you exactly what to practice with the information that we cover in the videos. So after every video, you get a hands-on practice sheet that really allows you to just complete a drawing task, which is designed like based on all the struggles, guys, that I've seen from like all of these thousands of students over the past 5 years. So that way you don't have to worry about like what you need to be practicing. I'll directly like show you download the practice sheet. And by the way, also inside the videos, like I complete every single practice sheet with you step by step, so you really just have to follow along with me. So inside a Portrait Mastery program, you watch a video, you learn the information, then immediately practice from the drawing assignment, which leads to you improving at art, and you just keep going through this cycle, which leads to consistent improvement. Does that make sense, guys? Does that sound cool? So inside the Portrait Mastery program, you're getting not only the Portrait Masterclass with all of the 8 modules, but you also get the ultimate practice sheets, which really help you to implement everything you learn step by step. Now that's the first special bonus, but there's a second special bonus, all right? And with this second special bonus, I really wanted to kind of help you improve even faster, because there's one thing that really slows down artists in their improvement, and that's called art blindness. Like when you look at your own work and you feel like that, like there's something just kind of wrong with it, and you're not really sure what it is, and you just kind of, you know, try to fix it, and it just doesn't really look right? Like that's really art blindness. Does that kind of make sense? And it really, like, art blindness just makes it really hard and slow to improve, because like you literally can't see like what you need to be improving. Like, how are you gonna know what to actually improve if you can't see it, right? So the secret weapon that all of my students have actually improved, have used to improve so fast, is that they didn't need to worry about art blindness and what's off in their work, because I actually showed them like exactly where their weaknesses are, and what they need to be doing to practice, right? So they didn't really experience that much art blindness. So it was really through this personalized feedback that they were able to improve so fast. So this is why in the Portrait Mastery program, I really made sure, guys, to provide you with the ability to receive personalized feedback for your work. And that's the second special bonus, the Portrait Mastery workshops. So inside the program, guys, every week you'll be able to receive personalized feedback that's really like tailored to your current needs and the exact problems that you're kind of struggling with. So you don't really need to worry about like what's actually like missing in your work. I'll just directly show you, so you immediately know what you need to be practicing. So this is really what makes like this program kind of different than a regular art course, where you're just kind of like dumped a lot of information and there's very rarely feedback, and you're just kind of left to kind of figure it out by yourself. So instead, in the program, we'll have weekly workshops, and we'll go through one module at a time, right? So we're going to be all going it together, so nobody gets left behind. So inside the Portrait Mastery program, guys, you have the information, the implementation, like actually drawing with you, and all the personalized feedback to really accelerate your progress. But there's a third special bonus, all right? What I call the Digital Art Fast Track, which is really like an easy to digest course where I'll show you everything that you need to know about the technical side of digital art, like tablet, software, setting, brushes, keyboard, shortcuts, like anything else technical that you need. So you can really focus on just kind of like doing what you love to do, and just draw without really worrying about whether your setup is actually slowing down your progress. So you get the and you also get the fourth bonus. There's so many things, guys. It takes me time to go through it, but the fourth bonus, which is really like the lifetime access to our special community, Do the Warriors, where we really like share our art progress. We celebrate each other's improvement. We help each other if anybody has any questions, and that way you're really like surrounded by people that understand your art journey and are really on this path together with you to art improvement. All right, so really excited about like everything, and now I want to show you like this final mystery bonus that I told you about earlier. Who wants to see the final mystery bonus, guys? Drop a yes. Drop a yes. Oh, Lycium says I bought it yesterday. Nice. Who here, guys? Do we have any people right here who have joined the program? I'm looking super. I'm super excited to kind of meet you guys, and super excited to kind of get started. All right. Me. Oh, nice, nice. So cool to see you guys. Shout out Xenia. No, Xenia Kamsia. Shout out Mikru. Oh man, so good to see you guys. Mm, nice, nice. You guys are the bomb. You're the real ones. You're the real ones. Joined yesterday. Hey, shout out. Who is this? Tandie Lottering. That's a hard question. I have joined. Man, look at how many young people have joined already. Man, look at how many people got in yesterday. Oh, shout out to you guys. Shout out to you. Oh, man. Shout out. I can't wait to. I bought it yesterday, said Mokchara. Super excited for anything you do. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm really excited. So let me show you the fifth mystery bonus that you're gonna get inside, that I'm really kind of passionate about, because it's something that I've kind of spent like over a decade really perfecting, because as an artist, we don't want to just kind of jump, like into just kind of improving only our drawing skills, but we really want to just actually use those skills to create and draw different things, right? Like original characters, and really invent different worlds, and really be able to tell stories through our art. And this is really like, this is the reason why I started drawing, right? So it was really like a dream come true when I created my first art book, Draw with Angel, where I drew like 50 original characters, and I really wrote like their personal stories. And through really creating this book, like I learned so much about like developing compelling characters and storytelling and creating personality in your character. And I really want to share, guys, all of this with you inside this fifth special bonus of the Portrait Mastery program, what I call the Character Creation Masterclass, where I really show you step-by-step process for really creating original characters, and how to really create inspiration boards so you could really invent original characters even if you feel like you're not really that creative. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like I feel like I'm not really like the creative type where I feel like I could just like keep inventing characters, and I feel like this has really worked for me, and I've been able to create a lot of like all these original characters, and I feel like this has been like a real secret for me. So I'm really looking forward to kind of really show you how to really create interesting characters, and add interesting touches to them, so you can really kind of show off their personality, and how I'm also able to kind of create their backstory, so your characters could really come to life and tell a story. And I'm really excited about this masterclass, because it's something that I've never done before, and that will be like really exciting. So that's really the fifth mystery bonus. So guys, as I've said, I've shown you so many, like there's so many things I've prepared for you inside a Portrait Mastery program. So let me summarize everything that you're getting. All right, first you're getting the Portrait Masterclass with all of the 8 modules, where I personally guide you to mastering the build-up method step by step. Then you're getting the ultimate practice sheets, like actual drawing assignments, refined and tested with thousands of students over the last 5 years, to really ensure that you implement everything that you watch. You also get access to the Portrait Mastery workshops, which will help you to accelerate your art progress through constant feedback. Plus, you're getting the digital art fast track, which really allows you to focus on just the fun art of digital art without worrying like about the boring technical aspect. And you also get lifetime access to the Do the Warrior server, giving you really the supportive community you need. And you also get the character creation masterclass, which really shows you how to create original characters and tell stories with your art. So guys, this is the Portrait Mastery program. Everything you could possibly need to draw and paint pro level portraits inside just one program. How crazy is that, guys? How crazy is that? And you've seen yesterday, guys, that the value inside this program is well over $4,000, which would be an incredible deal, like if you had to pay $4,000 to be a part of it. But as a self-taught artist myself, who couldn't really like afford like expensive art schools that usually cost like over $40,000 per year, I really wanted to make this program like actually affordable to self-taught artists. So that's why today, even though it'll be like an amazing deal, you won't pay $4,000. And guys, at $800, like like this program would be incredible for the deal that you're getting, but you won't even pay that, guys. So when you join the Portrait Mastery program today, guys, your total investment is just $297, right? Which is literally like this is like less than a cup of coffee a day over the next years to really like master all of the skills that transform your art forever. How crazy is that? And also, if you can't pay the full price, you can get started right now for just $155 and pay the rest in installment. All right, super crazy. Now, before I go ahead and drop the link for you guys to join, I just want to remind you, like, look how far you've come in just like 5 days, right? Like we've really started this journey together that many artists like never actually begin. Like you've really seen what's possible with your art, and that's super inspiring. But now you really have a decision to make. Like you can either, take everything that we've talked about and try to apply it yourself, like seeing what works to trial and error, or you can continue with me guiding you step by step to really see how the build up method works, like, and master it. And you've seen the build up method work, right? Like you felt it yourself. And these 5 days have really been just the start. Like think about the upcoming months with me, like showing you all these different techniques and how to apply them to all of these different lighting scenarios, all these different angles, and get all of your answers, all of your questions answered, receive feedback for your art, and really join others alongside with me. So one simple decision like this, guys, could really like get you from where you are right now to where you want to be with your art. All right. And if you're guys ready to continue this journey with me, and transform your art, I'm gonna drop the link for you guys to join right now in the chat. All right, I'm really excited about this. I hope we're not gonna crash the website, okay? Because we keep crashing the website, guys. All right, you guys ready? I'm gonna drop the link in 3, 2, 1. Here it is, guys. All right, if you're ready, click the link in the chat, guys. Okay, is it a pinned? Yes. All right, I'm super excited. It's live, man. Super cool. Just click the link that I dropped in the chat, guys, to join. And in case you missed that link, that's 5dayportrait.com/mastery, and it will take you to the same page as well. All right. So when you join today, you get immediate access to the first module of the Portrait Mastery program. So you could really start going through like everything and really like apply everything that you've learned in this challenge. And just don't wait, guys, because this special offer is like only available to people inside this portrait 5-day portrait challenge. And don't forget about like this crazy guarantee that I give you. Like I'm so confident in the Portrait Mastery program that when you join today and you start going to the program, like I give you this promise, like watch the masterclass, use the practice sheets, like implement everything that you learn, attend the live workshops, receive personalized feedback, and if by the end of 30 days you haven't seen improvement in your art, you don't like what's inside, guys, we'll give you like a complete refund, no questions asked. Just send us an email at support@doodlewarriors.com and we'll process your refund right away. And guys, I really just want to make this clear, like just take this time to let you know that this program won't make you like a professional overnight. Like I'll be lying to you if I promise that, because that's not how skill development works, right? And it what this program will give you though is something that I really didn't have for like so many years, which is really like a clear path forward, like the knowledge, the direction, the implementation, the feedback to really help you improve and stay motivated. And this is really like what my students have been using to level up in the fastest way possible. And my students, that improve the most and the fastest are not the ones that are talented, guys. It's the students that really show up and they really like follow the process, they put in the reps. And guys, the roadmap is here. The roadmap is here, and how far you go with it is really up to you. But you won't be guessing anymore. That's really the guarantee that I can kind of promise you. And you won't have to waste like multiple years through trial and error to discover what really like improves your art. All right, so I'm super excited about that. And also, regardless if you guys are joining the program, take the portrait that you've been working over the last 5 days during this challenge and add the final details using the rendering process technique that we covered today. Remember, to draw, to improve it art, you have to actually draw. You guys are action takers, all right? So do this, complete your drawing, share it in our Discord server, like, and if you post it on social media, put the hashtag 5-day portrait, tag me so I can see it. I'm really excited to kind of just see all of your art, guys, and this has been super crazy. Okay, let me go full screen. Let me go full screen on you guys. Hey, what's up? And I just want to thank you guys so much because these 5 days have been super crazy for me, and it just felt like we just kind of went through this journey together. And I've been just working so much, like all day, every day, to really get this kind of going. And it's been super kind of cool meeting all of you guys and improving together and being able to share all of this with you. So thank you about that. And I'm really happy to, continue this journey with you guys and really get inside a program. So I'm super excited about that. I just want to remind you that, this offer for the Portrait Mastery program is only for this 5-day portrait challenge. So it literally, this is like your last chance to join. And, I saw you guys kind of have some questions from yesterday about the program. So I just want to answer some of the most asked questions. Thank you, guys. Thank you. You're the best. No, you're the best. No, you're the best. You guys are the best. So I just want to end by answering some questions that I've seen, kind of like the most asked questions about this program right here that I've kind of wrote down. So I saw like a question: when does the program start? All right, so the first module of the program is already live. Let me show you two guys. All right, let me take a little moment to show you what's up. All right, you guys ready to see what's up? So right here, the first module is already out. Okay, head construction basics is already out. It's like literally like a standalone course. All the videos are in here. You can see on the side we got so many different things, all drawing from different angles, different styles, showing you really how to go through the whole head construction and how to really master it. All these videos showing you all of the different techniques that you need, and super excited about that. So that's the first module, and there's going to be 7 more of those coming up. And I'm be really kind of taking you guys to the whole thing. And not only that, so the first module is already out. And next Thursday, we begin with the very first Portrait Mastery workshop. So right here, for whoever's already joined in the live sessions, you can actually see the Portrait Mastery workshop, which is happening next Thursday. You can see right here the time, depending on wherever area you're at, it will just say right here. So that's happening next Thursday already. So that's when we will begin the Portrait Mastery program. And each one of these live streams is going to be 1 to 2 hours long. And I'm really going to be going through your art and giving you personalized feedback. And that's really the next question, like how does the workshop work? Is it personalized feedback? So yeah, like you can send your work before the live stream, and I'm gonna be going through all you guys' work, giving you personalized feedback on every live stream, and really looking to kind of help you guys improve. There's another question: what if I don't have a lot of time and I can't keep up with the workshops? So all of the workshops that I'm going to be doing are going to be saved, and they're going to be uploaded, so you could really take as much time as you need to kind of watch the program. And this whole thing is, the program is going to be entirely like, you choosing your own pace. So it's not, you could kind of go through it as fast or as short as possible. And it's not mandatory also to submit your art. If you don't want to submit, you can just also learn from the feedback of others. Another question is, how long does the course last? So although there's these like weekly workshops, the program is like self-paced, as I said. So it really it can take as long as or as short as you want. And I'll be doing the Portrait Mastery workshops every week over the next 12 months. like making sure that nobody gets left behind. All right, really excited about that. Again, meeting all of you guys that are joined, and you also get lifetime access to all of the modules and the Portrait Mastery workshop, so you'll be able to kind of watch them whenever you decide. Another question is, how much content will there be? So the first module of head construction basics has 18 videos right here, and each of them right here is bite-sized. So one thing that I've really like made sure to kind of keep in our programs and all our courses is to really make them as engaging as possible, because I know how boring and kind of overwhelming could just kind of art courses could be. So we've really tried to make everything bite-sized and as enjoyable as possible. So the first module has 18 videos in total, and we're planning to have like between 15 to 20 videos for each module. So that's 8 modules, so that's gonna be over 100 videos inside like the program. And you know, we put all of our effort to make everything as engaging as possible, just like we do with the short videos and with this challenge right here. So I hope it's been kind of, engaging for you guys over these past 5 days. Who can take this program? Beginner, intermediate? Do I need any prior experience? So this program, guys, is literally for every skill level. Like if you've kind of seen, this 5-day challenge and the videos that, we do online, like we really try to help anybody explain this, no matter their previous experience or skill level. So if you're a beginner, we'll help you from the ground up. If you're kind of like more advanced, you really kind of strengthen your knowledge and learn new things. So it's for every skill level. Another question is, can I do this on an iPad and all these different type of tablets, or can I do it traditional? And yes, all the modules are actually teaching you fundamentals of portrait drawing and painting, and those fundamentals like apply to like all tablets, and most of like the techniques work in traditional, so it doesn't matter whether you're on paper or screen. Plus we also have the digital art fast track, which really kind of shows you how to get started with your setup and everything else you need for digital art, so you're not overwhelmed. Another question is, will what I teach apply to my art style? Yes, like everything that we explain, all these fundamental concepts, guys, we also show you how to apply them to different art styles, so you could really see multiple art styles and really be able to apply it to your own. And as you've kind of seen, you guys have probably seen in my short videos, like when giving feedback, I try to be like respectful of people's art styles. And really my goal as a teacher is not to just get you to draw like me, but it's really to kind of get you to draw how you want and just to help you improve in the art style that you want. All right, so that's always been our goal. Another question is, how is this different from courses you've done in the past? So the Portrait Mastery program is really like a direct access to working with me. So this is why this is just like a limited time offer, because we're really giving this opportunity in a limited time, because I'm opening up like, these slots for new students. And once the program begins, you won't be able to join. And last question is, how long does this offer last? So you can actually see it on the website, 5dayportrait.com/mastery. And on the website, you can see like how much time you guys got to join. So right here, it says 4 days and 18 hours. So I believe that's like after the weekend on Tuesday, but it depends on your time zone. But this is why we kind of put this clock right here, so you know exactly how much time there is. All right, so I'm really excited about this. Let me show you, actually, guys, let me show you like this little page, that thing that we did, man. Shout out our team, super cool. And I wouldn't be able to like do all of these things, guys, if I was just by myself. So I'm super grateful for our whole team and everybody, Jason and Varun and Ivan and everybody else that's been on this, and being able to kind of create this amazing thing. So guys, go to 5dayportrait.com/mastery. There's like a video, everything that include, you see everything. There's a Q&A, and let me show you like how let me show you how easy it is to actually join, guys. Like you literally like click this button right here. There's your information, everything. You can choose the payments, whether you want like the 2-payment plan. You just fill up the thing, and you'll be joining us for the program, and it starts next week, guys. So thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys in this program. So right now we have this little clock right here. Okay, that is gonna just be 4 minutes, and that will be the end of today, right? So once again, thank you so much for joining. Everything that I'll be showing you is really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys inside the program. It's been real pleasure for me, and I really look forward to continuing this journey with you. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you inside the program, and that has been the 5 day portrait challenge, guys. You guys rock. I'll see you. Drop a W in the chat. Drop a W in the chat if you enjoyed today in this 5 day portrait challenge. And I'm really looking forward to continuing this thing with you guys. W. I love you, everybody. I'll see you. 5 day portrait. Hey, shout out everybody that stayed until the end, guys. I love you. This has been the 5 day portrait challenge, and I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for everything.